Hello there, thank you for joining me. So today I wanted to chat a little bit about why I chose to invest in a market outside of a state that I live in. So I live in California, and all of my investments on the real estate side are, well, actually with the exception of one, but all of my real estate, or almost all of my real estate investments are in Indiana. So why did I choose to do that? So when I first started investing, I was looking in California where I live, but I just wasn't finding the numbers in terms of like the cash flow or the return on investment that I wanted. So I started looking out of state because I've heard, cash flow is not really, California is not really the cash flow place to invest. California is more of a place to invest for appreciation. Now I know some people will say otherwise, but that's my personal experience with what I found. And, take that with a grain of salt because I was very, very new to real estate investing when I was doing my marketing campaigns and things like that in California. So I landed on Indiana, and I was looking for a couple of things within that market that I wanted to select. So number one, I wanted a market that was landlord friendly. So what does that mean? So the laws, California is considered a tenant friendly state, and Indiana is a landlord friendly state. So as an example, if a tenant has not paid their rent in Indiana, we can serve a notice. We can serve a 10-day notice, and we can file for eviction after that. Or we can basically get that resolved in a very short space of time. In California, I've heard it can be as long as 60 days. I've heard it can be as long as 6 months. I don't have a whole lot of personal experience with that, but I've just heard a lot of stories where tenants haven't paid for 6 months, a year, but they still weren't able to get the tenant out because of just miscellaneous things. So Indiana is certainly a more landlord-friendly state. So that was one component. The second component is I'm investing at this point in my investing career. I'm investing for cash flow. So that's money that I have left over. Let's say I get $1,000 of rent, then I'm paying 10% to a property manager. I set aside 10% for vacancy and just like random surprises. I set aside 10% for maintenance. I set aside money for taxes, set aside money for insurance. And after all of that is said and done, what do I have left over? So what's my net rent that I'm receiving after that? And if I'm taking out a mortgage on the property to be able to leverage my money a little bit more, then what's that return on investment or my cash on cash return going to be? Basically, how much money do I have left over after I pay the mortgage on top of all the other expenses that are associated with the property? So the numbers in California weren't as sexy to me on the cash flow side as they are in Indiana. And then a third reason is, actually speaking back to the cash flow thing. Now, when people are investing, some people, the buy and hold, like the people who are in it for the long term, a lot of people will invest looking either at appreciation, meaning the value of the property is going to go up, and or they are looking for cash flow. So that's the income that's coming in every month. In California, arguably, it's primarily, or largely, I should say, has to do with the appreciation, because the value of properties in California goes up significantly higher than the national average. National average is about 2% appreciation on average per year that a property goes up. So let's say, for example, if a property is worth $100,000, it goes up 2% in value. So the following year, it will be worth $102,000. And then, you do have the compounding of that, but national average is about 2% per year. California is significantly higher than that. Indiana, depending on where you go, but it's not as sexy on the appreciation side as compared to Indiana, or hopefully you understood what I was saying there. I am going on very little sleep because my daughter is starting to get sick, so we woke up a bunch of times with her. So mom life, this is part of my day-to-day life that I deal with, so yay that. Anyway, but they're overall very healthy, so I am actually thankful for that, not being sarcastic. Anyway, so you've got the appreciation component, you've got the cash flow, and then some places you can find that unicorn where you get both the cash flow as well as appreciation. So and there are parts of Indiana where you can find that unicorn as well. So anyway, or at least and whether it's Indiana or other places, they're just a lot of up and coming type of places as well. But I also look at, population growth to see, okay, are more people moving into that town or more people moving out of that town? I look at what's the economic projection. Are companies moving into that town, or are companies going to be shutting down? Because obviously jobs impact the people's ability to rent and things like that. But anyway, those are the primary things that I look at when I'm looking at investing in a market. Oh, and actually another thing is I look at the crime rate as well. So I'm currently not investing in like a major metropolitan area city-wise, just because the crime rate tends to be higher in those areas that I'm comfortable with investing in personally. Everyone's got their different threshold of comfort when it comes to that. Because I've never actually been to Indiana where I invest, I don't know, just those higher crime rates kind of freak me out a little bit. So anyway, hopefully you found this helpful. A great book that I used to help kind of gauge this was David Green, Long Distance